call to order, start our legislative meeting for November 18th, or excuse me, November 16th. Pledge of Allegiance is being done by Ms. Haywood.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Henry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Hayward. We'll have the roll call.
Mr. Burdell Williams,
Present.
Mr. Cullen,
Present.
Mr. England,
Present.
Mr. Fishbein,
Present.
Ms. Haywood,
Present.
Ms. Henry,
Present.
Ms. Lohman,
Here.
Mr. Pender,
Present.
and Mr. Schultz.
Present.
Thank you.
So thank you for joining us for this meeting. For the President's welcome and report, I have a welcome and some acknowledgements that I'd like to do. First, I'd like to welcome Dr. Scriven to our first legislative meeting under his leadership. I'm so glad that you're here and am getting settled in, Dr. Scriven.
Thank you, Madam President.
Also, we have two members of the board who have served us really well for a number of years, and I want to acknowledge them. Bill England, Bill, I think this was it your second or third term with the school district?
Second term.
Second term, right. And so, Bill, under your leadership and being a school director, when I first met you, it was when I was running for election to become a board leader. And you were so helpful in just providing leadership, direction, and support to the newer board members who were running and didn't know the ropes, and, helping us to speak at the various community meetings that we went to, helping us to understand what was happening at the school district. And I thank you for that support. I think it really helped us establish a really good foundation becoming new board members. Also, while Bill was a school board director, as many of us are members of other organizations. And so in addition to our jobs, our regular jobs, there are other things that we're a part of. Bill served on the Human Rights Commission in Cheltenham. He's also been a longstanding member of the MCIU board member, and providing updates and just insight for the things that affect our district. He's been on the school board, as we indicated, for 8 years, and we really want to thank you for your service. And also, it was a member of Cahelia. I think I said that right, of Old York Road. And so, Bill, thank you for your service and just for the work that you've done here in Cheltenham, and for the knowledge that you disseminated to many of us. Also,
Madam President,
yes,
may I say something?
you should. Yes, you may say something.
Thank you. I just want to. It's very bittersweet. 8 years is a long commitment, but obviously our children and our community, our students are worthy of people putting in time. I just want to thank the community for electing me twice to serve in this role. It has been an experience of a lifetime. I appreciate all of you, and I thank you for that we serve together. And I just wish only the best for this board and the new members who are coming as you move into the next term. And again, I just want to thank the community. It's very humbling to have the community get behind you when you put your name in the hat for something. So I thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Also, Chris Pender, who he and I ran together, so we were all new in this work. Chris has, in addition to serving as a school board director, He was a member of the Cheltenham Achievers Network, the After School All-Stars, Gear Up, FAMCOM, which is a program for youth and family. He worked for DHS, and he also does work for the Youth Emergency Shelter. And so Chris has really been immersed in, and it's no surprise that he became a school board member and supporting our youth throughout the district and throughout the city and the community. Chris, we are really, and Chris and Bill, we really salute you for, just being such active members of the community and for contributing your knowledge and your support on the school board. And we want to say, a little bit jealous that you're going to get your Tuesdays back, Thursdays back, Wednesdays back. But we hope that this next journey is just full of all the things good, positive, health, prosperity, time back with your family. And I know other board members will want to speak. And so you can raise your hands and you'll be able to speak to Bill and Chris. Julie, I see your hand up.
Pam, can you give me a minute?
Yep, I'll give you a minute.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. First, I want to say thank you to my fellow board members. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with you guys. We've been through some battles through thick and thin, and I can honestly say that we've become friends. We haven't always agreed, hasn't always been pretty, but we have become friends, man, and we always manage to come together and do what needs to be done for the community. Thank you to the community for electing me. Like Bill, is bittersweet. When I started this journey, I thought it was gonna go more than 4 years, but some things have taken off for me. That's taken up a lot of my time now. I'm at that stage in my life now. I'm ready for the next leg of the journey. But I do want to say thank you. I greatly appreciate everybody in this community. I love this community. I still be around, still looking forward to doing some work out here. And again, thank you to my fellow board members, and welcome Dr. Scriven. It's a pleasure to have you aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. Julie?
Thank you, Ms. Henry. Just wanted, you've said it all, Pam, but I just wanted to add on that I really thank both Bill and Chris as fellow board members for going through, the last 4 years for Chris and the last 8 years for Bill. We've gone through a lot. We've seen a lot of changes, but you both have remained steadfast in your commitment both to the community and our school district overall. And I want to thank you both for your service, both on the board and in the community. It's been a pleasure.
Joel,
Madam President, yeah.
I was going to say, I can see that you unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
Just.
Hey, Joel, Joel, I'm going to come back to you because your sound is really off. We can't really hear you at all. So you may be in a bad zone. All right, so while we're waiting for Joel's sound to improve, Mr. Cohen.
Yes, thank you. I also want to thank Bill and Chris. It was a pleasure serving with you, and I want to thank you for your dedication, your advocacy, and your hard work, and your commitment to the community and the school district. And thank you, and well-deserved recognition. And again, look forward to seeing you outside of meetings. Thank you.
Mr. Bodell Williams.
Yep, I won't, overstate anything that's already been shared by my colleagues, but definitely want to thank you both. Mr. Pender, we have, run into each other and kind of realized that we were affiliated with, folks that we didn't know. And, I'm just grateful for the conversations we've had and for your service. Mr. England, very specifically, I think better than anyone, that my interest in board service actually began with a conversation that you and I had at a coffee shop about 5 years ago. And I appreciate the words of encouragement at that time. I appreciate words of encouragement along the way. And again, like Mr. Cohen, I look forward to seeing you all outside of board meeting settings in our community, by which you both are a strong part of. And good luck and thanks again.
Can I try again? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. The thing that I want to say that I don't think is repetition is that both Mr. England and Mr. Pender have real deep connections in the community that brought them perspective from people that they're connected to in their board service that many of the other board members just don't have in the same ways, or they have different connections. And they've really used what they know from the community members in their board service. And I very much appreciated that. As Mr. Pender said, we didn't always see eye to eye, but we learned how to work together and for the good of the district. And I'm grateful for both of your service. Thank you. That's all I had to say.
Mr. Schultz?
I just, it's all been said, but I just want to thank both of you for your service. Bill, getting to work with you over the campaign, to learn from you, and to witness your passion, which I think is the word I would use to describe how you approach your service, is passionate. I've always been just in awe of how clear you are about what you believe in, why you believe in it, and you have a laser focus as you approach deliberations and decisions. And it's very refreshing to see, and I've appreciated getting to serve on a board with you. And Chris, you bring a level of down-to-earth connection with the community, and when you speak, it is a thoughtful thing that you are saying, and everyone pauses and makes sure to listen. So both of those styles of leadership they're different, and they've brought a lot to the board. I will be sad to see them go. I know the folks filling your seats are also amazing folks, but I'm just thankful that I got to work with you over the past 4 years.
Ms. Lohman?
Thank you. I'm echoing what everyone else says, which is, and there's my dog who also wants to say hello, so I apologize. But thank you both for your service, and as Mr. Stolch just said, your passion for the community and for the students that we serve. It's inspiring, and I hope to live up to that as I continue my service on the board. And I'm only sorry that I never got to serve with you both in person. So I wish you well in your future endeavors, and please stay in touch.
Thank you, Jenny. And that's really a eye opener that, you joined the board through COVID, and, it was a long time before you even met anybody in person, but never attended a meeting like that. So, yeah. All right, next we will move to our student representatives, Sadie Leary and Dylan Nelson. I'm not sure which one is providing the report tonight.
Hello. If Sadie doesn't mind, I don't mind reading out the report that we've gathered from the student council. Which, by the way, I'm glad Sadie could be here tonight. She couldn't make it to the last legislative meeting, so now that we have everything set up, I'm glad she can be able to make it, and hopefully she makes it to other future meetings as well. So she'll be participating with me from here on onward, so that everyone knows.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here at my very first school board meeting. And I just wanted to say thank you to Dylan. She's been so helpful in this entire process for me. And I can read the report. You can read the report. It doesn't matter. It's not very long. Our meeting for November Student Council is actually tomorrow, so a lot of the information will be amassed then.
Yeah, that's true. So, if you don't mind, I already have the report here on me, so I don't mind reading it if you.
Okay.
All right, cool. So thanks, Sadie. So first up for homecoming, to replace the typical homecoming dance, as I've already shared previously, the student council organized a pregame tailgate. It was real well received by students, and attendance exceeded expectations, so it went really well, which is good. Homecoming shirt sales were highly successful, and the shirts ended up selling out, which is also good. And because of the lack of homecoming dance this year, a winter homecoming centered around basketball is being arranged. And I did see an announcement today that a winter ball is being planned for being next month. So that's already getting taken care of, and hopefully it goes well. For environmental justice, our Environmental and Sustainability Committee is working hard to possibly implement environmental justice in the Chillingham's curriculum. And finally, for charity, the charity committee is already at work organizing the annual Thanksgiving back to school drive, which I believe I've already started today and will go on throughout the week until Thanksgiving break. This event gives holiday meals to those in need and reaches out to the community. And hopefully that goes well. And yeah, like Sadie said, this is really short. We have our next meeting tomorrow. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have more information and hopefully progress will be made. So thanks guys.
Thank you, Dylan, for the report, and welcome, Sadie. Glad that you're here. Next, we have our superintendent's welcome and report.
So good evening to our board. I'll wait for the slides to get to the beginning before I jump in. First and foremost, I would like to say to both Sadie and Dylan, I was at the school today, did not have an opportunity to connect with the two of you. I will be there again tomorrow afternoon. So please do not be surprised when you get a call down to the main office to meet with the superintendent. I definitely want to meet with you both and get your insight and your perspective. So please anticipate that at some point tomorrow afternoon. To the board and to our larger community, it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here with you in this capacity this evening as I deliver my first, but by no means will it be my last superintendent's report. Next slide. As you are all aware, we had tragic news this weekend, and I just really wanted to start with the highlight of just really giving respect to Principal Hughes, the principal of 14 years at Lower Merion. I will acknowledge to my board who are the individuals that I directly report to that I did make my first mistake as superintendent. It was in the right spirit in which I wanted to show support for the Lower Merion district, Lower Merion High School, and the community at large. But as it was quickly brought to my attention, I do not have the authority to lower any flags to half staff. So subsequently, flags will be at full staff tomorrow, but we do want to keep the intent of that gesture at the forefront of everyone. Next slide, please. This individual just started on November 8th. This is our new director of facilities, Mr. Timothy Holman, excuse me. I have to just give accolades. We had a situation yesterday into this morning with respect to our boiler unit at Elkins Park. Mr. Holman was there till 11:30 with the team and was there 5 o'clock this morning, making sure that we did have heat in that schoolhouse. I do want to also acknowledge our principal, Brian Wallace, and all his faculty and staff, because they were extremely patient. Yesterday was not a comfortable day for any of them. We recognized that, and we rendered the support that was needed to make sure that today was more conducive. Also, Chris Barone and his IT team, in terms of working through some technology challenges. We are in a much better place than where we were, but please welcome Mr. Holman, as you will see him throughout the entire district. He's been extremely busy, and he has really been hitting the road running. He's going to be a great addition, and it's his commitment and diligence already that he's exhibiting that we really want to use as an exemplar. Next slide, please. Just a quick facilities update. We're still working with the water infiltration issues at Cedarbrook, and the gym floor it's complete. The lines are done. There was a change order where there was a request to have not just the capability to have one volleyball court going, but 2 volleyball nets and courts established on the gym. We will have that finalized by next week. Principal Metcalf has been very patient and has played an intricate role into getting us to where we currently are. So we are in the red zone. I would say we're on the 10-yard line, about to take it in for a touchdown. So hang in there with us. That will be a great upgrade to that school in terms of a lot of the extracurricular activities that they're looking at doing. Like I said, Elkins Park is in much better shape right now. We're trying to identify just some low-hanging fruit. I remember my first day out with Mr. Lytle at Myers Elementary. He had a very simple request around getting mulch on the playground. So not are we just going to get the mulch out there for Myers. We're going to make sure that we get that 6 inches of mulch at all of our playgrounds at our elementary schools. Again, we're just trying to get some quick wins, and we will continue to update you on the glycol leak repair. Again, Mr. Holman is hitting the ground running, but there's a lot of moving pieces. He is one person. We will constantly update you. So if you don't get it in this format, we will make sure that you get it in a weekly update to keep you abreast and the community at large as we continue to make upgrades. Mr. England, this is one of your requests, sir, prior to transitioning out. Next slide, please, Kevin. You had wanted a update around the Unified Coffee Company. It was acknowledged that that was resurrected and began on the 29th of October. We have approximately 20 of our life skills students who are actively participating in that program. I am going to make sure that I get there early enough on one of these upcoming days to actually meet the young people who are driving this program, and definitely make sure that I get some hot chocolate from them. I am going to try to stay away from the baked goods, but I definitely want to thank and commend them and the staff that are supporting this endeavor. Looking forward to meeting them all in the near future, but wanted to give you that update, not just to you, Mr. England, but to the board and the community at large. Next slide, please. Our Test to Stay program, I tell you what, I'm just a benefactor of some great individuals that are working behind the scene. They jumped on this program and the opportunity. This is something that we began on November 8th. We are really encouraging our families to take advantage of this program. It's a situation that if one of our young scholars come in contact with someone who has been positively received or identified as having COVID, that we can test them right on the spot. Only takes about 15 minutes to get feedback. If they come back negative, they do not have to quarantine. I mean, that's huge for a lot of the parents. We do give you some of the numbers at the bottom. I'm not going to go by school. You can see that for yourselves, but this is really to our parents and our community. If you have not registered for this test to stay, there's a link and information on our website. Please go on there and take advantage of this opportunity. Next slide, please. Also, the team has been diligent with trying to organize and clearly communicate our first opportunity to have a vaccine clinic. They've partnered, as you can see, with Eric's RX Shop. And this is for our 5 to 11-year-olds. It's my understanding that registration has closed and registration was full. So I'm sure we're going to offer some other opportunities that will be going November 17th from 5 to 7 and December 8th from 4 to 7. Additionally, faculty and staff on the 17th, which is actually tomorrow, will have an opportunity to get their booster shot. I will actually be there and have registered to get my booster tomorrow as well. So wanted to give you that update as well. Next slide, please. This is our slide around the mask mandate. We know that the Pennsylvania Commonwealth had released a decision regarding the Department of Health and that mask mandate. I believe that the court has ruled that the mask order is void because it was not adopted. I think that we are in a holding pattern right now. But as a system, I do know that we had put certain strategies and mitigation procedures in place with respect to the mask mandate in our health and safety plan. So it will be on the strength of our board, our community, and myself, when we know exactly where things stand, whether that is something that we continue to do or not. I know that looking at the metrics is something which is going to drive those decisions, but we are well poised to keep that mandate in place if needed. Again, we will unpack that as we continue to roll further down into the winter. Ed, I know you're on the line, Mr. DeSaggio, which is our general counsel. If you'd like to just give a little more explicit insight around this mandate, this would be the perfect time to chime in.
Sure, I will add, Dr. Scriven, one thing to your update here, because there's been a very recent development just this evening, actually. But we did learn that the Commonwealth Court has lifted the automatic supersedious in this case. So what that means is that as of December 4th, the statewide mask mandate in schools will be lifted. At that point in time, school district health and safety plans will remain in place, and school districts will have the authority to modify their health and safety plans as they see fit with respect to masking. Now, keep in mind, again, this development was, my understanding, was within the last 2 hours here. The one thing that could happen in the meantime is that the Supreme Court, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, could reinstate sort of the stay in this case. It's called a supersedious. That's the legal term. But I do just want to report that, again, early this evening, it appears that the Commonwealth Court did lift that supersedious. But so from now until December 4th, the statewide mask mandate remains in full force and effect. And following that, if it is lifted and not reimposed by the state Supreme Court, the school district's local health and safety plan will govern.
Mr. Diasio, let me apologize for butchering your name earlier. Did I pronounce it correctly that time, sir?
Yes, you got it.
Very good. Look, my team is behind me and they're making sure I do not flounder and make mistakes as I honor names. So thank you so much for that update. And I know that we will be relying on your guidance as we move forward. Next slide, please. This is a meeting in November that I hear is something of a tradition in our Cheltenham School District. As in November, our educational affairs meeting is an opportunity that Dr. Smith, who's our assistant or our associate superintendent, and team who are all on the line today. I thank you, team, for being with us this evening. We'll have an opportunity just to give an update on our latest or most recent benchmark data. You will also hear from our outstanding principals with respect to their school improvement process, what the salient data is attached to their respective schools, the root causes that they have identified, where we are deficient or have gaps in instruction, school by school, what some of the priority needs are that they've identified, and some of the instructional best practices that they will be implementing to move student outcomes throughout the district. So Kevin Kaufman, who's our Director of Communications, will be doing a countdown. So please stay tuned, and please make sure that you tune in to this committee meeting, as it's going to have information which definitely is relevant to us all across the district. So wanted to highlight that. Dr. Smith, I know you're on the line. Anything that you feel needs to be added?
No, not at this time. You covered everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Next slide, please. The Listen and Learn Tour. I'm only in day 12, but this gives you a high-level overview of the meetings which have been held thus far. I have had one-on-ones with our entire cabinet here in Cheltenham School District. The information that I'm getting from the team is just critical. They're so insightful. I've been so impressed with every one that I've met. I've also had the opportunity to meet with the president of Arcadia. He's extremely excited about the partnership and moving forward. Dr. Smith and members of her team have had a meeting, and we will continue to have ongoing meetings with Arcadia to really solidify that partnership and make sure that it is fluid, as their success is our success, and they are willing to stand behind that. I've had an opportunity to meet with 6 of the 7 principals. I'll be meeting with my last principal this week. Again, extremely insightful. They have really broadened my horizon as I'm truly learning the culture and the climate of the district. Again, we're very fortunate to have the building level administrators at the helm, and I so value their voice, and their voice will be a major part of the work as we continue to move forward. Last Monday, I was able to have just a stand-up meet and greet with light refreshments, breakfast for the entire administrative building here. It gave me an opportunity to just kind of connect at a high level, meet some individuals that I had not had the opportunity to meet, and especially those who may not be on that first tier in terms of on that cabinet. I had opportunity to meet with the president of BEC, the president of CEA, looking forward to really continuing that partnership. I've had individuals from project-based learning that we've had an opportunity to connect with, and the list goes on. I'll let you guys read this. I do not want to bore you going item by item, but it has been packed. The schedule's packed. I'm excited about my meeting with respective board members tomorrow, and as we move through the week. the voices and the perspective of everyone is valued. I will be setting up those school-based meetings and making sure that I'm also meeting with the respective stakeholder groups. So please be patient. As you can see, we've been extremely busy trying to get everyone on the calendar, but I am only one person, and there's only so much time in any given day. So again, your grace is greatly appreciated. Next slide, please. So I have this mission and vision. This is the mission and vision for the school district. It's extremely robust. You know, when I think about a vision and a mission statement, in my eyes, it provides schools and the district an overview of where they want to go and what they want to be. It's the core value, it's our core belief, and it's what we stand for. As I think about the importance of setting clear expectations and standards, I think about our brand. I think about, you know, the fact that we state that we want to be grounded in excellence in everything that we do. So this is the lens that I'm attacking this work. I'm really looking at how is this mission and vision that's currently in place being operationalized? How do I see that day to day in every facet of what we do? I'm really excited about working with faculty and staff at every level. You know, I get a report every morning, which speaks to the attendance in our schoolhouses. I'm not going to call any particular schoolhouse out, but my wondering is just around the alignment of mission and vision and what we say we stand for being transferred in everything that we do. We are here for our students. If that is our main calling, as I look at some of these high-level things that we say we represent and stand for, you know, my wondering just is around how do we put this into action each and every day. These are just wonderings. At this point, I'm only 12 days in. There's no judgment, but I'm looking at our various data points, and I'm going to be inviting people to the table to have robust conversations around, do you believe that this is our mission and vision? And this is something that I'm going to generate and focus on district-wide to really make sure that there's ownership in what we're saying that we stand for, and that everybody has a voice in that. That is really what my 90-day entry plan is about. Gathering information where at the end, we will have a very clear strategic plan with moving forward, where everyone who wanted to have a voice will have a voice in terms of crafting and coming up with something that we say that we represent and that we'll stand by. So I was very deliberate in when I put this, and this is going to be our work. This is going to be what continues to drive us. I see this in many levels, but I need to see this in everything. And this is just not from the instructional standpoint. As we look at our data outcomes, this is also with respect to facilities, operations, and everything else that relates to the facet of this job. And then our final slide, I think is the most powerful for the evening, which so many of you already hit upon. I did not have an opportunity to work in great length with either of these individuals. I will be meeting with both of them tomorrow. That's how committed they are to the work. They're coming out to see me for our one-on-one to give some insight. I do want to read the clock. I don't know if you guys can see it. Hopefully you can. You will be getting this, Mr. England and Mr. Pender, when you come out. It simply reads, Cheltenham School District recognizes William England for his dedicated service as school board director from 2013 to 2021, and respectively Cheltenham School District recognizes Christopher Pender Sr. for his dedicated service as school board director from 2018 to 2021. I want to say thank you for your vote of confidence in me thus far. I'm looking forward to any insight that you give me tomorrow, the wisdom. I humbly will sit at your feet and take notes diligently. And Madam Chair, President Henry, that brings closure to my report for this evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scriven. Next, we have the solicitor's report. Mr. Diazio.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. I have a Sunshine Act announcement for this evening, which is that the board will meet in executive session immediately following tonight's legislative meeting to discuss two matters of personnel. I believe we've already covered the mask mandate, which was another item that I had planned to discuss in the solicitor's report if it wasn't addressed in the superintendent's report. And then just in closing, I wanted to just simply wish Mr. England and Mr. Pender well as they move into the next chapter. It's been great working with both of them, and both of them are true role models for what it means to be good public servants. So they'll certainly be missed. I've appreciated working with each of them, and I wish them both well in the future. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diazio. Next, we have public comments on agenda items only. A few points. You can, if you're in the Zoom meeting, you can raise your hand and you will be unmuted. You can make your comment or ask a question. If you are not on Zoom, you can submit a question via CSD board meeting comments at cheltenham.org as listed on the agenda. And so I will go over to the participants pod and see if anyone is raising their hands. And if you do have a comment or question, please state your name once you're unmuted and where you reside in the district. And I am not seeing any hands raised. Mr. Diazio, are you aware of any emails that may be coming through? I haven't seen any.
Nothing as of yet.
Okay. All right, we will move on with our agenda. Next, we have the approval of minutes for the October 12th, 2021 Legislative Board meeting. Have a motion to approve.
So moved, Ms. Lohman.
Second, Julie Haywood.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Next, we'll have our committee reports, starting with Financial Affairs, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. The Financial Affairs Committee meeting was held on the evening of Tuesday, November 8th via Zoom. The agenda topics for the meeting were a presentation from the township regarding a proposed LRTA by the township. We also reviewed the year-to-date revenues and expenditures, a charter school cost comparison, the 2020 audit's current status, an update on the food services request for proposals, as well as a proposed request for proposals around next year's or the current year's audit, the next audit we will be performing, I should say, as well as an update on the 2022 to 2023 budget timeline. Next month's meeting will occur on December 7th following the Facilities Committee meeting. And I wanted to highlight two things. First, members of the community can view a recording of the meeting. You'll folks have probably noticed that this report is shorter than usual. That is because we are now publishing copies of our committee meetings online, and you can visit cheltenham.org/presentations to find links to all of the respective committees' presentations where you can find links to the meetings. I also just wanted to highlight that the food services request for proposals is being developed now. So now this came up at the meeting that members of the public who would like to provide input or feedback around food services, this is an excellent time to do so. And please reach out to the business department to provide that feedback. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Educational Affairs, I will be providing that update. The Educational Affairs Committee met on October 19th. During the meeting, we received a presentation from Dr. Hacker, who was the acting superintendent, on the Pennsylvania System of School Assessment, otherwise known as PSSA, and the Keystone data results for the school district. Also discussed were school plans to address student needs. And as already indicated, our next meeting, we will receive a presentation on those school plans based on not only the data assessments, but also the benchmark data. Our next meeting will be held on November 23rd at 6:45 p.m. And as Mr. Schultz indicated, you can find the recording for that presentation on the presentation website. And that concludes my report. Eastern Center for Arts and Technology, Mr. Burdell Williams.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Eastern Center for Arts and Technology Joint Operating Committee met on Wednesday, November 10th, virtually. We did not discuss any items that require board approval tonight. However, the 2022-2023 Eastern Center for Arts and Technology budget will be circulated to the board this week, as it was approved by the Joint Operating Committee. And we're expecting with our board's approval that we will be able to move forward with that budget for approval, for full approval at the Joint Operating Committee in February of 2022. A full brief that covers the fine details of the Joint Operating Committee meeting can be found on Eastern's website at eastern.org/JOC/JOC-meetings. I will work with Mr. Kaufman to find the right place to add this link, given that the presentation and the way that communications are executed from the Joint Operating Committee and from Eastern are slightly different from those in Cheltenham. But we will ensure that the link to this information is available for ease of access to the Cheltenham community. I do want to cover that there were a few key topics discussed during the meeting, and one of them was the 2021 annual report that highlighted 2020-2021 school year accomplishments at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology. Also, as mentioned previously, the 2022-2023 budget was approved by the JOC. There is a slight increase this year in the budget that is relative to the addition of the new exercise and sports science program, which will bring on some additional staff, as well as a small amount of capital funds required to upgrade the space to make way for that specific program. I was able to visit the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology on the 28th of October and view the construction area, and also some really nice upgrades to the facility there that were completed over quarantine, and just really excited about the direction that the Eastern Center is going in regards to their facilities, and just want to share appreciation to our board for approving the previous budget, which made way for those enhancements and allowed a better space for our children to be able to learn and pursue their experience in career and technical education. Just one more note to add, Cheltenham specifically has increased our enrollment at the Eastern Center for Arts and Technology from 87 students in the 2020-2021 school year to 95 students for 2021-2022 school year. Although we have increased our student enrollment, our rolling enrollment over the last 3 years, which is how our budget contribution is determined, is slightly lower. So we will be contributing less to the Eastern's budget than we have in years past, specific to last year for sure. I can share any other information about, that budget again once shared with the full board. The only other item of importance that I did want to highlight was the nomination or appointment, excuse me, of myself and Mr. Daniel Kay, the representative from Abington's school board, to serve as the nomination committee to make recommendations for the election of the vice president and vice president of the Joint Operating Committee. That item is on the agenda for the December meeting, very similar to the reorganization process that's executed here in Cheltenham on a given election cycle. Next month's meeting will be held on December 8th, 2021 at 8 p.m. At this time, there's high likelihood that this meeting will be held in person, and the community will be apprised of that via updates to Eastern Center for Arts and Technology's website as we approach that date. That concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Was having trouble unmuting myself. Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Next, Mr. England, Montgomery County Intermediate Unit.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The MCIU board did not meet last month. We found that during the month of October, it was difficult to get a quorum of people, some of whom were running for re-election. So our next meeting will be tomorrow night, but I'd like to take just 90 seconds and just read a couple things here from the MCIU. MCIU is one of 29 intermediate units across the Commonwealth. They provide a range of services that reach directly or indirectly 2 million students. Here in Montgomery County, we provide a vast array. We provide an array of services that meet the educational and social needs of the county's 200 plus schools, which includes 21 public school districts, 150 non-public schools, 4 career technical schools, 3 charter schools, and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Funding comes from state and federal funding, foundation grants, and contributions from each school district to the operating budget. Cheltenham's, if I recall, was about $50,000. I may be too high on that. I can't find that number. We've seen that number come down the last couple of years. MCIU is an important entity. Cheltenham is one of 21 districts, and we have a board seat there. I served on that board for 6 years. I was vice president for 2 years. I hope that when the board begins its reorganization, it may take a little bit more than within the next 2 weeks, that somebody is interested in joining the MCIU board and representing Cheltenham. I will email or provide to Ms. Harding a nice brochure that the MCIU put out a couple years ago. It's an important part behind the scenes of the education of our children here in Cheltenham. We also run Head Start and pre-K counts, and I hope one day that we'll be able to get some Head Start classrooms here in Cheltenham for the growing need that we have. Next meeting is tomorrow night at 6:45. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. England. Mr. Burdell Williams, Facilities.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Henry. Sorry, pulling up my report here. The November Facilities Committee meeting was held virtually on November 9th, 2021. At the meeting, we started by welcoming Mr. Holman as our new Director of Facilities, and then received a presentation about school district building updates from Mr. Linderman and from Mr. Holman. The only key topic that was discussed during that meeting, which was not on tonight's agenda or wasn't covered by Dr. Scriven's superintendent report earlier, was a topic regarding the CHS Media Center and some condensation challenges that were resulting from some poor piping insulation that again was a part of the original construction, or again the redesign and the recent updates to the media center completed within the last few years. The root cause has been determined, and the building was also surveyed for potential mold excursions, and no mold was found. Construction is underway and is expected to be completed in the coming weeks, so that the board, not specifically for us, but hopefully so that we as the board can potentially meet in a hybrid setting as we had earlier in this year. The full presentation from the November Facilities Committee meeting can be found on the district's website at cheltenham.com/presentations. Next month's meeting will be held on December 7th, 2021, following the special board reorganization meeting, which is slated to begin at 7 p.m. So approximately our next Facilities Committee meeting will meet sometime around 7:15 or 7:30 p.m. on December 7th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Burdell Williams. Liaison Group, Mr. Cohen.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Henry. The liaison group met yesterday morning, and the agenda included an introduction of Dr. Scriven, an overview of roles of the township commissioners and of the township, and a high-level discussion on potential areas for collaboration between the township and the school district. There was a recognition of Mr. England for his years of service. As we all know, he'll be retiring from the school board, and Mr. England has been an active participant in the liaison group. There was then a discussion about an update on school bus driver shortages and bus speeding in the township, and using Brook Road and Glenside as a cut-through. And by last evening, the Brook Road as a cut-through was ended, and that also relates to the fact that recent PennDOT work had ended in the area, and the drivers were notified to no longer use Brook Road as a cut-through. There was an update on Stormwater Management Initiative and budget, and both the township and school district properties will be exempt from the stormwater fee, which is a township fee which is up for a vote, I believe, this week by the township for implementation for next year. There was also discussion on local economic revitalization tax assistance, or LRTA, that Mr. Schultz mentioned earlier. And very briefly, that's an economic development program where there is a partial tax abatement for 10 years if it goes into adoption, implementation on properties in the township for the increased value based on their improvements. And that's under consideration by the school district and the township and the county. And all three have to agree for it to go into effect. There was then a discussion on overlapping township and school district services, such as purchasing, facilities, contractual needs, and potential for a shared administration building, and agreement to continue those conversations going forward. There was discussion on high school parking lot issues after school hours, such as cars driving the parking lot and doing donuts and other activities they should not be doing, and that will be investigated as well by the school district. There is a brief discussion on the ranking of the school district in the Commonwealth, and there was then an update on the closed Lamont and Cheltenham libraries, and also a discussion on the township's new facilities committee. The first meeting of that committee is Sunday. Information is on the township's website, and my understanding is that committee is designed to look at the township facilities to try to develop a plan for improving those facilities and making better use of those facilities, including some possible consolidation of some facilities. There was then a brief discussion on the Bishop McDevitt property, and the next liaison group meeting is scheduled for December 20th at 8 a.m. and information will be available on the township and school district's website, and that meeting will be held virtually. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Policy Committee, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. The Policy Committee meeting was held on Wednesday, October 27th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. On the agenda were the following all items of old business, which will be voted on this evening. Policy 816B, website development for repeal, which I believe the content is in other policies. Policy 312, evaluation of employees, which is a consolidation of three policies, the previous policy 312, 412, and 512. So it's combining those into one. Policy 313, evaluation of superintendent and assistant superintendent, which is being updated to reflect current requirements. Policy 810.1, whose title is being changed to school bus drivers and school commercial motor vehicle drivers, as well as policy 810.3, school vehicle drivers, both of which outline various practices and requirements related to folks who drive vehicles. Policy in AR 254, student wellness. The policy is being updated with minor language updates. Policy and AR 213, threat assessment, is a new policy required by the Pennsylvania Act 18 of 2019, and it describes our district's threat assessment team, as well as procedures for assessing and intervening to ensure that the district is able to help students whose behavior may be signaling a crisis or threat to safety. We also discussed several items of new business, which are being presented for first read this evening as informational items in the consent agenda. Next month's meeting will occur tomorrow morning, November 17th at 8 a.m. via Zoom. And I said next month's meeting, but I mean the next meeting. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Schultz, I just have one question. You mentioned policy 213, threat assessment, and the associated AR, but listed in the agenda, it's listed as policy 236.
I misspoke. It is 236. Thank you for that correction.
All right, thank you. Communications Committee, Ms. Lohman.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. The Communications Committee met for its monthly meeting on Thursday, October 28th, 2021 at 7 p.m. via Zoom with co-chair Joel Fishbein presiding. The agenda included two items: a search for the digital content specialist and a 2020-2021 overview of the Cheltenham School District Foundation's work. Interviews for the digital content specialist position began the week of November 1st. The overview of the foundation covered the foundation's activities since the pandemic started. Those activities included donations to assist those impacted by food insecurity in the district, 13 scholarships totaling $11,000, which were awarded to 19 members of the class of 2021 this past June, the organizing and holding of Cheltenham Dines en Blanc with a twist, meaning that instead of having a large gathering of people for this fundraiser, various foundation members held smaller gatherings at their homes. And having gone to one, I could tell you it was a lot of fun. Hosting of Foundation Fest, and also the return of innovative educator grants. The next Communications Committee meeting will be in 2 days on Thursday, November 18th at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lohman. Legislative, Ms. Haywood.
Thank you. The Montgomery County School District Legislative Committee met on October 20th, 2021 at 7 o'clock via Zoom. And during the meeting, we discussed adopted and proposed federal and state legislation impacting public education. And this evening, I'll share just a few of those highlights. At the federal level, everyone is aware that yesterday, the sweeping infrastructure bill was signed by President Biden. And there are provisions of that bill that do positively impact education, including a $65 billion investment in broadband to help families access the internet, $5 billion for clean energy school buses, $500 million in competitive grants for energy efficiency improvements, and $200 million to remove lead pipe contamination in school drinking water. Now, at this point, we don't know how much money, if any, will come directly to Cheltenham, but we do know that those were dedicated funds that will impact education overall. In response to the increase of COVID-19 cases in different parts of the US, Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra and Education Secretary Miguel Cardona issued a joint letter to school principals nationwide on November 8th, asking them to support COVID-19 vaccination efforts in their schools. Specifically, they asked principals to host vaccine clinics at their schools. And as Dr. Scriven previously reported in his superintendent's report, Cheltenham is one of those schools that's actually going to be hosting 2 vaccination clinics, one tomorrow and one in December. Mr. Diazio and Dr. Scriven already reported in terms of at the state level as relates to the mask mandate. So I'm not going to repeat any of that information. But one issue that we've been talking about all the time is school funding. And just so that everyone's aware that on November the 12th, the trial challenging the state's funding of public education actually started. We'll be following that closely. And primarily the challenge is determining whether the state funding of public education has been, underfunding public education, and particularly the adverse impact that it's had disproportionately on those school districts that are poor school districts who don't have the benefit of being able to raise taxes to support public education and are woefully underfunded by the state. On another note, on Monday, November the 15th, the House Education Committee approved House Bill 2045, which is an early literacy program. The bill would create a statewide early literacy program using an evidence-based model of instruction. And lastly, just wanted to report out on House Bill 1660, which is under second consideration by the Senate regarding school board emergency powers. The House Bill 1660 amends the school code and limits a school district's temporary emergency powers from 4 years to just 60 days, beginning with this school year and each school year thereafter, when an emergency results in at least 5 consecutive days of being able to provide in-person instruction. Given COVID-19, that's probably something that's going to continue to emerge. This proposed bill would require a majority vote by the school board directors and a public hearing if an extension is necessary. The Senate amendments separate out infectious disease emergencies and limits the temporary emergency powers to 21 days. At this time, it's unknown whether the House would agree to any Senate amendments to House Bill 1660. That concludes my report this evening, Ms. Henry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haywood.
Mhm.
Next, we have approval of agenda items. First up is the approval of the treasurer's report, file attachments as listed, revenue status report for October 2021, expenditure status report for October 2021, the revenue status report for October 2021, and the October treasurer report. We have a motion to approve.
So moved. Bill England.
Second, Charles Burdell Williams.
Any board comments? Seeing none, I'll take this as a voice vote. I will call your name as I see you on the screen. Jennifer Lohman.
Aye.
David Cohen.
Aye.
William England.
Aye.
Chris Pender.
Aye.
Charles Burdell Williams.
Aye.
Dan Schultz.
Aye.
Julie Hayward.
Aye.
And Joel Fishbein.
Aye.
And Pam Henry, myself, is an aye. The motion carries. Next up, we have the approval of the BEC collective bargaining agreement. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to table this agenda item for a future meeting.
Second, Charles Burdell Williams.
Ed, do we do comments on this or do we just do the vote?
The motion to table, you proceed right to a vote.
Okay, so we'll take this by voice vote. Ms. Lohman,
Aye.
Mr. Cohen,
Aye.
Mr. England,
Aye.
Mr. Pender,
Aye.
Mr. Burdell Williams,
Aye.
Mr. Schultz,
Aye.
Ms. Haywood,
Aye.
Mr. Fishbein,
Aye.
and Pam Henry, aye. The motion carries to table for another vote. And next we have our consent agenda for the items as approved on the agenda, in the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move, Mr. Cohen.
Second,
Second, Bill England.
any comments from the board on any of the items as listed? Seeing none? We'll take the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Next up is public comments on non-agenda items. If the community would like to make any comments, you can do so by raising your hand in the chat and we will unmute you. Before you speak, could you state your name and where you reside in the district? For non-Zoom attendees, you can submit an email via csdboardmeetingcomments@cheltenham.org as listed in the agenda. And I will wait and see if we have any hands raised. So far, I'm not seeing any. And is there any coming across in the email?
I have not seen anything via email yet.
Okay. Well, seeing that there are no questions, we'll move to the next agenda items, which is response to prior public questions. I don't believe that there were any prior public questions that needed to be addressed. Future meetings are as listed in on the agenda. And I would now make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Bill
Second.
England.
Second, Julie Haywood.
Oh, Julie.
And Julie beat you to the punch for the second.
You did.
And the meeting is adjourned. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Bill and
Thank
Chris,
you.
for your service again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
You too.